Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Communities Live here on Sheffield Live 93.2 FM. And we have singer-songwriter Grace Hayhurst. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
So I'm all right, thank you. So how are you doing?
Yeah, tired, I think is the answer. Tired, definitely.
So I mean, it's turned quite windy here in sunny Sheffield, but yeah, it's still quite a bit warm. But how's it? How's it on your side?
Yeah, definitely we're in the turn of spring. Things are getting a little bit more pleasant and bearable outside, thankfully.
So, I mean, we've got to talk to you a bit about you. So, give us a bit of background. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am from London. I am a multi-instrumentalist, and last year I put out an album called "The World Is Dying," and I played pretty much everything on it except for the drums, because I know my limitations and I can't play the drums. And yeah, it's like a progressive metal album basically. So it's angry, it's full of riffs, but it's also takes you on a bit of a journey. Some of the arrangements and songs are quite complex, I guess, and elaborate. There's quite a lot going on in terms of parts and songwriting. Um, but yeah, I guess that's a very brief highlight reel.
And who are your main influences? And also, if there was anybody that you could work with in the near future, who would it be and why?
Mm. Now there's a question. I think historically I've always been very influenced by like 70s prog. So your kind of Yes, your Genesis, Rush, all that kind of stuff. Always been a big fan of Rick Wakeman. But then yeah, also just a lot of the modern metal stuff. Like Rabir Massad, for example, is an incredible guitar player. And I took a lot of what he does and put that into my music, the way he sort of puts riffs together and the way he plays guitar. So he's in a band called Vower. And yeah, I guess other acts like Carnival, maybe Haken, I don't know, all that sort of angry modern metal kind of stuff that's going on at the moment.
And for anybody that wants to like break into music, I wouldn't say necessarily the music industry, but for someone who wants to like have a steady career in music, what advice would you give to our listeners?
Well, if only I knew. I think patience is a virtue, and don't expect anything ever to happen overnight. It takes a long time to build things up. Like this is my first studio album that I put out last year, and that took about 4 or 5 years to come together, start to finish. Um, it doesn't have to take that long. But if you've got a day job, if you're kind of working on, just surviving in life and also just living, it's hard to do everything concurrently. So yeah, I guess expect a lot of late nights and being very tired.
And I mean, you mentioned a single earlier. It's called "The World Is Dying." So, how long did it take for you to put that together? Was it a long process, or did it come together quite quickly?
I think it was kind of a series of iterations over time. So I originally wrote the song tail end of 2021, and we recorded the drums for it for the whole record that's on early 22. And then I just sort of slowed down a bit because I was like, oh, I want to sing on this. Oh, I can't really sing. Okay, let's take some singing lessons and see where that goes. And that was a whole process, right? And in the background, I was also just living life quietly. But then tracking the guitars, tracking the bass, tracking all the synths, making adjustments, trying to find people to work with. It's like, who's going to mix this? Who's going to master this? How am I going to do the artwork? What are the lyrics going to be? What's, all of these sort of steps that it takes to bring something like this together. And it took a while. I did a very elaborate music video for this, very much inspired by how elaborate Ramstein go with their videos, which are just mental, like mental, but really cinematic and creative in storytelling. And it's like, okay, shoot for the moon. How do I achieve that? okay, right, I've got to plan shoot days. I've got to find spaces to shoot it. I've got to find a cinematographer. I've got to find an actor. I've got to get costume. And it's like, it's so much more than just here's the song, right? Okay, I've got a little
Mm.
song on the piano, and here we go. It takes a lot of time and refinement to get to a finished product in this genre, I think.
And I mean, you also mentioned about the album, which you say it took around 4 to 5 years to make. I mean, what were the roadblocks and why did it take that long to make the album?
Well, in the background, I was working with a friend of mine to take over a recording studio, which kind of slowed things down because I was like, oh, well, I know we're going to be like, I'm going to be in this recording studio. So there's no point me paying for studio time to track vocals or whatever it is. It's like, I'll just wait a bit longer. And that took a very long time to come to fruition. So that was like a stopping point. But even just like the music video side of things, I had a whole shoot planned with the one cinematographer, and then they just dragged me along and along and along until finally dropping out. And I'm like, I've just lost 6 months to that. And then I had to find someone else and start the whole process again. And it's like when I sent the songs off for mixing, I'm like, right, I'm done recording now. This is all great. I want to send this off. The mixing engineer is like, right, well, this is great, but I've got like a 6 month backlog from other clients. So you're at the end of that. I'll get to you when I get to you. And it's like, oh, right, okay.
Right.
And obviously all of these things cost money along the way as well. So I've been working hard in my day job to be able to pay everyone I work with, which is something I pride myself in doing because so many people in the music industry just aren't paid for what they do. So I'm really thankful that everyone along the way that has helped out, whether that's been artwork or logistics or whatever, has been paid at least something. And yeah, that definitely made things take a bit longer, but I think it's the right way of approaching this.
And I mean, I want to ask you as well, I mean, because there's so many different genres of music out there. So, what made you appeal to heavy metal? What made you appeal to it?
I mean, that's a great question. Like when I was a kid, my dad used to play a lot of like progressive rock when we drive around in the car. So like Steve Hackett and Genesis and that kind of thing. And when I got a little bit older, I was kind of in my teens. I was looking at stuff online and I was like, wow, okay, there's some cool stuff here. Like trying to find things that were adjacent. And eventually someone recommended me Opeth of all things. And I was like, okay, this is like apparently one of the greatest metal albums ever or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. Um, and that was my gateway into like harsh vocals. So I was already kind of listening to maybe a bit of Metallica and that kind of thing at the time. But unlocking harsh vocals, it was like, oh wow, okay, this is mental. There's a whole like side of music I've not explored, and then started going to festivals, went to Download and Radar, Arctangent, all of these really cool metal festivals in the UK, and just started falling more and more in love. And I think the biggest thing for me is just live. Like it's less so the studio work. It's being in a venue amongst a bunch of sweaty idiots smashing into each other in a mosh pit. There's something about that. I just unlock some weird dopamine rush in my brain that I don't get from anywhere else. It's just being in a mosh pit when there's some really heavy, chunky, delicious riffs going on, and I'm just like, yeah, there's no greater place to be on earth. But
And,
it's been a while since I've been in the pit. Fractured my foot recently.
and I
Unrelated.
mean, and, and I mean, how difficult is it to find that sound that you're looking for? I mean, have you found what you're looking for, or is it still an ongoing journey right now?
I think all artists change over time. I've definitely streamlined, I think, from the first EP I did a few years ago, which was instrumental. I kind of have more of an idea of what I want to do now. But even the record I just did, in hindsight, I'm like, well, if I was doing it now, I would have changed this bit and I would have done this and I would have done that. But I feel like each thing you release is a window into that moment in time. It's almost like an archaeological exploration of the world at that point, my abilities as a musician and all this kind of thing. So yeah, I've definitely gotten closer to where I think it should be, and the new stuff I've been working on for the future is, but could be another few years before that sees the light of day.
And I mean, on the album that you've released now, was there any songs that unfortunately didn't make the cut that you might save for the next album or the album after that?
No, surprisingly not. I wrote, because it was a concept album, every song had a place in sort of telling the story, I guess, of it. So I was
Sure.
like, well, if I remove any of these, then it's not going to make sense anymore. So even though there was maybe songs I was less happy with, and I'm like, maybe I should try that again. It's like, well, I can't really undo it now. It's too late.
And I mean, a lot of people also use like digital platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube for to put their music on. I mean, do you feel that it's gotten easier to do music that way, or do you think it's still quite a lot harder now that there's more competition in on with digital platforms?
I think it's harder. I think because people are disincentivized to spend money on music, pre streaming, pre Napster as well, pre LimeWire, going back before those days.
Mm,
You go out into a record store and you buy a CD, and that'd be how you do it. Or you go to a gig at your local pub and someone would have a tape and you buy it, and that would be how you get the music. Otherwise, you'd never see it again, potentially. So yeah, it's so much harder now, so much more competitive. You can have a playlist of anything you want from any genre. You can go from like Punjabi to soul to, I don't know, heavy metal, whatever it is,
mm,
and you're competing with everyone rather than just what's in your cupboard. So it's hard.
sure.
I think it's great that it's more accessible. Anyone can put their music out there now, but it's more competitive than it ever has been, I think, and it's only going to get worse, I guess, as time goes on.
And I mean, you've got an upcoming show on the 26th of March. It's in London. So are tickets still available?
They are. I think we're unlikely to sell out. However, there is definitely a healthy cohort of characters coming along, which I'm really pleased with. It's my first ever headline show, so I've done gigs before as support with various bands, but bit of a risk trying to do a headline show. Bit scary, but yeah, I've been really happy with the response. Ticket sales been good, and I think it's going to be a very fun evening. I've got lots of interesting things planned to make it interesting.
So watch this space, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to ask as well, I mean, other than London, will you be also going to any other cities for your show? Or is it just like a one-off gig at the moment?
This is probably going to be a one-off gig just because of expenses. It's costing me a lot of money in terms of paying all the musicians on stage because I'm a solo artist. So I'm hiring a bass player, a drummer, another guitarist, a trumpet player, venue, all of this stuff. So there's a lot of expenses that go into it. However, I am doing some festival dates later in the year. I'm playing at Danfest in Leicester and HRH Prog in Great Yarmouth. So some other shows around the UK. I hope to do more festival things because those are a little bit easier logistically to plan for a small artist. It's a bit safer than potentially booking a venue on the other side of the country, turning up and there's 3 people in the room, maybe there's no one in the room because you don't have
Yeah,
the local audience, right? Like I've lived in London my whole life, so I know people here that would want to come. Harder to do that in, say, Bristol, for example, where I don't know anyone.
sure. Yeah, I get that. And thank you for sharing that with me. And I mean, so what's next for you, Grace? I mean, you released your new album. You've got an upcoming headlining show. What's next for you? I mean, is there any projects that you're currently working on, or is it all secretive at the moment?
Um, well, there's a couple of things in the background. I might be joining up with a black metal project that's kind of bubbling away in the background. We're kind of throwing material back and forth and see what happens with that, which will be exciting if it all comes to fruition. But yeah, I'm also writing for my next solo record at the moment. I think it would be a while before anything feels finished, definitely a while before anything reaches public ears, but it is happening and it will eventually happen. So, yeah, very exciting. And I'm very happy with all the progress that's being made on that at the moment.
And how can people get a copy of your new album? Is it released just digitally, or will there be physical copies that people can get as well?
There are physical copies, yes, on my Bandcamp page. You can buy a physical CD, and I will personally post it out to you because there's no one else would do it. But yeah, there's also digital downloads. It's obviously on various streaming platforms: Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, all of the usual characters, as well as the music videos being on YouTube, which I would implore you to check out because I put a lot of time into that, and I think they're really good.
And also, I mean, you mentioned YouTube. Is there any social media platforms that you're currently on, like Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter?
Yes, I'm just Grace Hayhurst on all of them. Hayhurst. A quick search will find me, I am sure. Instagram I'm probably the most frequently using. But yeah, YouTube, there's loads of stuff in the back catalogue. There's old live performances, there's music videos, behind the scenes in the studio, like yeah, lots of stuff to sink your teeth into if you really have a lot of time to kill.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure. My final question for you is, what would you like to say to our listeners who is currently listening right now?
I hope you have a wonderful day. I think that's what I'd like to say.
Grace, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Chris.